Hello, welcome back to the Nowcom demonstration room. My name's James Baly, I'm the technical director, and today I want to demonstrate the Cisco Spark board in a little bit more detail. So we put it on the wall, and just to recap, what we see is we've got the 12 micro mics at the top, we've got the high definition 4K camera, and this very large 70-inch screen with only one button down the bottom for which to drive it from. I'm going to demonstrate some of the standalone features, and then we'll go into the how to use it with the application. So very simple interface. What we can do is make calls, do whiteboarding, and do screen sharing. Okay, so first feature is the calling functionality. Hit the green button, a very simple and intuitive directory. So I'll do a search for another room. You could search for individuals, for people, but we'll search for the other Spark board. As soon as I type in 3 or more letters, it's going to sort of give me the list of devices that I can potentially call or people that I can call. I'm going to pick the 55-inch Spark board and place a call to that one. So it'll be alerting at the other end, and hopefully there'll be someone there to answer it. Excellent. Hello, Brian.
Hello, James.
How are we doing? So this is Brian in our London office, and as you can see, we're just using the device over the network, over the internet, as a point-to-point video call. We could have invited more people in on the call, and then we'd have a split screen effect with the person who's speaking being the predominant image on the display. Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, so feature number 2 is the whiteboarding functionality. So simply, it's a large whiteboard. It comes with 3 of these pens, assuming that you're probably going to lose at least 2 of them. So simple to just draw on the screen. It's a multi-touch device, so we can see we can have 2 people drawing at the same time on the screen. And in a standalone mode, I can choose to save it to Spark. Now that option is working out that there are people in the room with the Spark app and automatically creating a space and saving it to that room. So the idea is you're having your meeting, you're doing your whiteboarding, and everybody who's participating in the room gets that whiteboard in a space which they can then refer back to later on. I've got 4 different colors. So fairly self-explanatory, and an eraser and a clear all button. Okay, so that's the whiteboarding functionality. It's very quick, very interactive, and the key thing is that you could be sharing your whiteboard screen with another participant remotely, and you can action the board at the same time. You don't have to hand the control over and then wait for the control to come back. So that's whiteboarding. Screen sharing. So again, we're in sort of standalone mode. I can either share wirelessly with the application, or I can share via the HDMI port. So I've got an Apple TV shared on there. So I click share screen and hit play. And you can see that we've got full screen video playing. Incidentally, you might think that it's a little bit too quiet. Swipe up from the bottom and make it quiet again so you can actually hear me. So that's screen sharing. Clearly this is an HDMI cable, and that can be connected to a PC or something else, but at the moment I've got it on the Apple TV. What I want to show you today is how to use the Cisco Spark board with the Cisco Spark app. If you look at previous videos, we've shown it in a standalone mode, but it becomes much more interesting when you've got Spark on your laptop or on your mobile device and you're using it in conjunction with the board. So here's Spark. You should all be familiar with this. It's a very straightforward interface to use. And what I've done is I've loaded up one of my existing rooms on my laptop. So when I walk into the room with the laptop, because I've got the Spark app running and because the Spark board has got speakers and microphones in it, it detects that I'm in the room via ultrasound. So effectively I've got proximity sharing to the device without actually having to plug in any cables. And to demonstrate it, I'm obviously in completely wireless mode. So it's got at the top that the Spark board is associated. So I could screen share directly to it. Let's do that one. So that's just basic screen sharing. So you'll see my desktop screen will start to come up on there. So that nifty feature. I'm not having to root around under the desks and find out I haven't got a VGA port in my new laptop and it's just HDMI. You know, that's not an issue anymore. You've still got HDMI if you want to do that, which we'll demonstrate in a little bit. So I get confused with what's touchscreen and what's not touchscreen. I'm going to stop sharing and it'll go back to the generic space. So I'm still in the room. So now I want to share the whole space. So this is messages, perhaps, files, whiteboarding with the screen, again, seamlessly. So we've been working on this room for a number of months, and I've got a lot of files that are associated in the room. You can hopefully see those. I've got some pictures, I've got presentations, etc. I've got an option now down here on the bottom of the screen, which is open on the SparkBoard. So if I click open on the SparkBoard, what will happen again, using the proximity, using wireless on the laptop, it opens the complete space on the screen. So now I can put my laptop down. Anyone else in the room's got access to the same files, and I can now bring up on the screen all the files that are in that room up on the SparkBoard. So let's have a look at a generic picture. As you see, it auto-sizes it to the screen. I look at a more detailed picture, again, auto-sizes it. I can zoom it right up to 1000%. Unfortunately, the resolution doesn't match my zooming, but you get the idea. We could be sharing a very technical document and we can drill right down into it. If I tap the screen again and go back to all files, the PowerPoint acts in a very intuitive manner as well. So what we have is, again, auto-sizing it for the screen, but nice for the presenter is all of the other slides come up as little thumbnails on the right-hand side of the screen. So I select thumbnail number 6 or slide 6, and we can see here again the way we can zoom in on the slides down to 100%, up to 1000%. So a very detailed zoom. If I get to the next slide, it'll auto-size it back to the correct size. So it remembers the zoom that I've got for that particular slide. Okay. So I'm accessing files that are actually on my PC, but driven from the SparkBoard. To get back to the home screen, again, just tap the button at the bottom and we can start to interact in other ways. So I've got the same functionality in the sharing. So I've got previous whiteboards that are within the room accessed on here. So actually I'm going to go for a new whiteboard because that was just a scribble. Take the pen, drawing in black, drawing in red, drawing in green, drawing in blue, drawing two at a time. All the functionality you'd expect, but this now is going to be saved, if I go back to all whiteboards, as a new whiteboard that's available from my room as well. So the idea is you're interacting, having a meeting with participants in the room, participants remotely, and all the files that you were working on don't get lost, and you don't have to take a photograph of the whiteboard at the end of the meeting and then email it around. This whiteboard is automatically stored within your room. People, just shows me other people that are members of the room, and we can call them in. And screen sharing, again, I showed the remote screen sharing using proximity, but we've still got the ability to screen share using the HDMI cable. And if I wake up the Apple, we can see we can do things like video screen sharing from the HDMI. The HDMI connection, incidentally, does it at 4K resolution. So if you've got a 4K source, like a new Apple TV, you're going to get 4K TV through the SparkBoard. Okay, I actually want to stop the sharing. You can see at the end of it, I can close the space, but let's just place a call here. So I'll hit the call button, and basically this is going to call the demo room. So anybody within that space is going to get a call. So I've actually got Brian and I've got my iPad also in the room. So I hit call. So the call gets placed to all participants wherever they are on whatever device. We'll see what's happening there. I can see my call alert is coming up on the Spark app here on the laptop, also on the iPad. Hi Brian, I'm just going to join in James from the iPad just to demonstrate that it does call in all participants from the room. And we get the obligatory feedback. So there we go, we got active speaker that's taking up the main thing. Brian, do you want to start talking?
Yep, hello, can you hear me? Am I coming through?
There we go. So it's promoted. So it's a little bit of intelligence there. We can have up to 25 participants with the Spark application, all hosted within the cloud. I'm going to drop out the third participant because it just gets a bit confusing. So we go back to full screen. Again, it intelligently is resizing the image. The next feature that's coming along the roadmap, it will actually intelligently frame Brian within the room, which is quite nice. So it'll do a digital zoom on the picture, because it's a 4K picture. So Brian, you're now at the board. Maybe we demonstrate some sort of interactive sharing. So basically, yeah. Brian's going to kick.
We'll just run through the idea of the invitation, James. I'll just set up a whiteboard and we'll just do a bit of sharing on that.
Okay, great. Just give it a go. So what Brian's doing is he's using a SparkBoard 55-inch. Again, this is the 70-inch screen. So as soon as he's bringing up a board, and as soon as he hits the share, I might have to go to the whiteboard functionality. There we go. So this is the live share that's coming up. So I want to interact with the live share. You can see I've got a pencil icon there. So then that brings the live share to me as a full screen. So I can see Brian's using the blue one. So I'm going to use the red pen. So yeah, I think we should have an image here. Maybe, you know, and then maybe we'll do something here. So you can see at the same, we can be both drawing at the same time. And if I bring up my laptop, hopefully you can see this. That same share is happening live, real time. So there's a mirrored image within the application. So use your imagination. Maybe there are 25 other people also in this room. They're going to be able to see that live share going on at the same time as Brian and myself interacting with the board. So when we leave that, I'll just go back to all whiteboards. I can see all other ideas, all other whiteboards that have been saved are actually on the screen here. But more importantly for me is that those same whiteboards are again stored within the application on the laptop. Okay, so thanks for that, Brian. I think that's good. We'll sign that one off. It's all very good. And I'm going to return to call and end the call. So it brings it down from the laptop. Okay, so I've got a space, a room space shared with the screen. I want to show the proximity feature where we're using it in conjunction with mobility. So I can either make the call from the screen or from the application. I'm going to make it from the screen as before, place a call into the demo team. So outbound call and an outbound call to my iPad as well. So on the iPad itself, there's Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello, James. Hello.
So I'm actually paired to the device, again using proximity. You can't exactly see that, but basically it says I'm connected to the Spark board and there's a little grey down arrow. So if I drag that down to the iPad icon, it actually moves the call from the board to the iPad. And it says, do I want to hang it up on the board? Yes, I do. So that board ends and I've still got the call. I can now be mobile. This could obviously happen on your smartphone as well. So I'm mobile on the screen. Brian's still seeing me. I can still hear Brian.
I can see you fine on your iPad, James.
Okay, thank you very much. But in reverse, maybe I've started the call on my iPad and I've come into the room. It's recognized that I'm associated to the screen. I then get the little arrow now at the bottom of the screen and I can drag it up and it actually moves the call to the whiteboard. I've still got control from my iPad, and when it resyncs back up, we'll see Brian in full screen mode.
I can see you back on the board again, James. No problem, nice and clear.
Okay, fantastic. And I can then go back to the space, go back to the workspace, go back to whiteboards, go back to files, all of that interaction, and I can see I've still got the same control and the same functionality from my iPad as I do on the screen. Okay, so thanks for that, Brian.
No problem, you're welcome.
So we'll end the call. And finally, at the end, when we finish sharing, I can hit the button at the bottom, which is to close the space. So it removes it from the board and it goes back to generic mode. If you want to then wipe out any whiteboards, etc., that are on the screen itself, you can hold the button momentarily for 3 seconds and it clears the board ready as a fresh Spark board for the next person to come into the room. All the information will be on our website. Please feel free to check out our Spark microsite as well and get in touch. We have this unit in a mobile box and we can come to an office near you.